Today I'm going to be talking about relationships. Now there's all kinds of relationships, but I'm going to talk specifically about those relationships that are described as meaningful, significant, life partnership kinds of relationships. Also referred to as boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, all those variations of the same kind of loving relationship between two people. And what I'm going to be talking about today, especially the misconceptions that we all have about what those relationships are supposed to do for us, what we're looking for, the goals that we have for those relationships are often misguided. And I must say that I have done a lot of personal research in this area in my life, so I have a lot of experience to draw on, but I also have a lot of information and education, so to speak, from my various teachers who have helped me understand more fully what those relationships can be, how much more meaningful and fulfilling they can be. So the topic today is called Love at First Sight and Other Delusions. The name of the show is Living Wisdom, and I'm Patty Paul. Getting back to that interesting idea of love at first sight. Oh, so romantic. Oh, so longed for by many people, and to talk about what that is and what it is not. What it is when we feel we're in that moment of seeing a person for the first time and it's like bam, there's some sort of energetic connection with them, and we call it love. What it really is it's like a recognition of sorts. It's recognizing the energies that that other person is holding that somehow are compatible or somehow fit with the energies that we are holding within ourselves. And when I say energies, I mean the emotions, the experiences, the frames of reference that we each have within us that are in the form of these flowing energies. Frames of reference and familiarity that of past relationships that go back to the relationships that we had with our parents. So often for women, for young women, old women, that frame of reference, that magnetic energy, so to speak, is a reference to the feelings and the relationship that we had with our father and with other men and with patriarchy and with that, let's say, combination of masculine energies. And for men, of course, it's a familiarity that they see, that they relate to, that refers to the relationship that they had so long ago with their mother, sisters, other women in their lives. So rather than real love, deep love, true love at first sight, it's more of this deja vu in an emotional sense, this attraction that we have. And also, frequently, it can be a reconnecting, a recognition, a reconnecting with another that we have had past lives with, past life relationships with. Speaking for myself, I've had throughout my life a number of these relationships where we meet a person and it's like an instant recognition that goes beyond what we experienced in this lifetime, and it has that definite deja vu feeling, like I know this person, logically there's no reason for it, but I just know it. And we're drawn to each other in that way. And also this idea of reconnecting with a past life love partner. That also is quite romantic. But the higher truth of that is, when that happens, it's usually because we created this reconnection in order to somehow complete what was left undone in the relationship with the other person from the past lifetime, and bringing it forward to the current life experience, where we're reconnecting with these suppressed memories, suppressed emotions of our relationship with our father or mother. We reconnect, we make connections with people who remind us of those past relationships from the present lifetime, in order also to complete what was left undone. So this love at first sight notion, as romantic as it has been, really doesn't have substance. So that's one of the delusions that I've listed on this short list. There are many others, but I have a limited time today on this show. So the love at first sight, and then of course the well-known Cinderella and the prince kind of relationship. That's been written about in books, self-help books. But basically what that's about is this reference to the role or the roles that women are supposed to fulfill in the patriarchal / chauvinistic world that we live in. The woman is supposed to be the powerless, dutiful, undiscovered person, and if she does all the right things, if she looks the way she's supposed to look to attract men, if she works hard and wishes and hopes and longs, sooner or later the prince is going to come riding along to save her. Now the prince is the guy who's supposed to take care of her in whatever way that might mean to the individual woman. Take care of emotionally, take care of financially, provide and protect her, provide for and protect her, I should say, take care of her sexually. So basically we have this rather passive woman, female, waiting for something to happen that will make her life complete, and that something is supposed to come in the form of a man who's going to be the prince that makes her life have meaning. That's a delusion. Many of us have lived that one through over and over, that little fairy tale. It never has a happy ending. And then the third example of the fantasy illusion, the third example that I have on my list, is the ever popular soulmates theory. As metaphysics, as New Age and related energies began to flourish, beginning about late 70s, 80s, 90s, and to the present, the idea of soulmates really gained popularity. A lot of books were written, a lot of money was made on workshops that were related to or titled soulmates, how to find your soulmate. A lot of people signed up for those. A lot of people bought those books looking for their soulmate. The idea that there is one perfect person who will fill all of your needs, whether you're a man or a woman, make your life complete, give your life meaning. Also a very romantic notion that there's this wonderful person, never mind all these boring losers that we've waded through in the past in our relationships. Somewhere out there there's this great man or woman who's going to be what we've always been looking for. And bottom line, unspoken thing there is also make our life complete, make us whole, so that we don't have to figure out how to do that for ourselves. So those are three of the common fairy tales, fantasies, delusions that we've been playing with over and over in our lifetimes. Not just men, not just women rather, but men too. Men have their own versions of this. They get to be the prince, and somewhere they're going to find this little Cinderella person who's going to fulfill their needs and be the little woman behind the successful man. Past lifetimes we've played these variations through many past lifetimes. But this isn't what love is. This is the adolescent version. This is that childlike approach, but absolutely not the powerful adult approach to love. But nobody can blame us for not understanding what love is, because it hasn't been taught about in schools. It certainly is not something, deep, true love, unconditional love is not something that most of us learned from our parents, because they didn't know what it was either. And so our parents played out their own variations of these themes and other themes. I am very grateful that in my life over the past 16 years I have been able to learn from very unique, very unconditionally loving teachers whom I sought out. And in the course that would be with a small seed, nothing formalized here, but in on the path that I've been on, I've learned a great deal about many things, including love, what real love is. And so I'd like to also, in this short time together, focus on some of the high points of what I've learned and share those ideas with you. I'm going to turn the page. What I've written here on this page is kind of an overview of the stages that we go through, that loving relationships go through. The first stage is the getting to know each other stage. That's where you meet somebody new, a man, a woman, whoever you are attracted to, and you want to get to know them better, so you ask them questions. You want them to know you, and so you tell them about what your interests are, what you like to do to have fun. And then as the early stages of this relationship progress, you start talking about your past, what your family was like, where you grew up. Lots of times we go into past relationships that we've had, marriages that we've had. this is a process of getting to know each other, and the more comfortable, the more trusting we are of each other in this early part of the relationship, the more we're willing to reveal about ourselves in that way. And then the relationship moves to another level, and this is more of a subconscious level. After we know the other person pretty well, understand, oh yeah, they drive this kind of car, they have this kind of job, or maybe they're not working, they live at home with mom and dad, or they are extremely wealthy and own their own business, however that plays out. We get to know them, and if what we know so far is appealing, we hang in there. The next, more subconscious stage of the relationship is, what can you do for me? Now, that means in our minds we're processing the possibilities. A lot of women, I'm going to even draw a line because quite often relationships never get beyond this stage. People can get married and stay married for a long time, but never get beyond this part. Those kinds of relationships usually end in a split up, a divorce, going separate ways, because whatever one expected the other person to be able to do for them is an impossible criteria to meet. So eventually we wake up. An example of this, recently I met a woman in her early 40s, very attractive, very accomplished professional athlete. And as she and I got to know each other, she mentioned that she was really feeling depressed because she had had the conversation with her boyfriend of 3 years. And it seems that during the 3-year period they were dating, the boyfriend was the one who always made the decisions about when they'd get together. And because he was quite wrapped up in his own life, wrapped up in his own work, had never been married, so relationships were not that important to him, obviously. He would call her every couple of weeks to see if she wanted to get together with him, and of course she always did. As she told me, she would usually prepare food at her house and then take it over to his place. And so that was how the relationship had been for 3 years. But the reason she was feeling depressed the other day was because I guess some friends of hers, probably female friends, had said, no, if this isn't working for you, you've got to talk to this guy. You've got to ask him when he, what he sees for this relationship. And basically this woman wanted to get married, and she wanted some sense of security. She was at this what can you do for me stage, and she had been waiting for this guy to miraculously change and somehow become more open, more loving, more caring, more demonstrative. She expected him to broach the subject of marriage first, and when that didn't happen, she finally bit the bullet and asked him. And what he told her was, no, he had no intention of ever getting married. He didn't ever want to have children. He never wanted to have that kind of committed relationship. He cared for her, but didn't feel that he loved her. So she had a big-time reality check, hence the depression. So many women go through that, and men too. If only in the beginning of our new relationships, if we could just be honest with the other person and say, look, this is what I would like to get out of a relationship, and lay it on the line, we'd save ourselves a lot of time. Anyway, moving forward in a relationship, getting out of this sort of this adolescent place of what can you do for me, and moving into a more truly loving place in the relationship, we come to this area of what can I do for you? Coming out of compassion and love. So that, of course, is a higher level of what a loving relationship is. And then even to move beyond that, because that can get stagnant too. Together in a relationship, a loving relationship, move into the area of what can we do together? What can we do together to make this relationship more loving, more nurturing, more fulfilling? And of course, what can we do together to support each other so that we each grow as human beings, as spiritual beings, so that we can be independent and fulfilled, but also have a common goal of keeping the loving relationship and letting that grow and evolve as well. So that's certainly a different perspective on the significant relationship than we've learned from, most of us, from parents, from society, from educators. There's more. Love, of course, is an enormous subject. It's a powerful force. It's a wonderful emotion that has both thoughts and feelings. But love also is a process. And this process is one that I've learned from my teacher Lazarus, who is a channeled being, an unconditionally loving channeled being, channeled by a man by the name of Jack Purcell. And over the many years that Lazarus has been my friend and teacher, I've learned a lot of things, but seeing love as a process has been one of the most meaningful for me, and I'd like to share it with you. And also, love as a process begins with loving oneself. We've heard over and over that it's important to love oneself because you can't really love other people until you love yourself. And that's so true. But again, most people don't know what love is, so that the idea sort of lies dormant. On the other hand, in society and most religions, they say it's more important to love other people because it's way too selfish to love yourself first, way too selfish to take care of yourself. You're just supposed to be a martyr and a savior. To quickly run through the 7 actions to take in order to produce these particular energies, so to speak. Giving of ourselves. Honoring. That means honoring our emotions and honoring other people's emotions. Responding to our needs, and responding to the needs of the other person in our relationship. Knowing, getting to know ourselves, knowing the other person. Being humble. That means letting things be brand new this time. Even if you've had horrible relationships with men or with women in the past, let this new person in your life be brand new. And that goes for yourself. Let yourself be new now. Having the courage to make a commitment. Caring for the welfare of yourself. Caring for the welfare of the other person. To do each of these things as they come up in a relationship in order to provide each of these things. and there's no direct line here. It's all of these things can be produced by any one of these. The purpose of these things to give the other person or give oneself a sense of security and safety. Pleasure, to provide pleasure for the other person, for yourself as well. To be vulnerable, bring a sense of vulnerability into your relationship with yourself and with the other person. To establish a sense of trust by being honest. To reduce the fear of loss, yourself, the other person. To bring about an intimacy, a feeling of being cared for. And being known, allowing yourself to be known, the other person allowing themselves to be known. I write about this in more detail in my book, which is called A New Spirituality Beyond Religion. It's available in libraries and other places. I want to say goodbye for now and see you next time.